Welcome to another installment of the Women on Death Row series. I'm still JT. Today, for episode 8, we're going to talk about Shawna Forde from Arizona. You might have heard about her. As with every episode in this series, I'll be covering this case using primary documentation, provided I could find it. Any sources used will be in the show notes. If you liked this video, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification button below so we can notify you whenever a new video drops or we go live. That is the cheapest and easiest way to support us. Without further ado, let's get into it. Shawna Forde was sentenced to death after a jury found her guilty of 2 counts of first-degree felony murder and 6 other felonies committed during a home invasion. Shawna Forde was born December 6, 1967. In describing herself in 2007, when she ran unsuccessfully for a city council seat in Everett, Washington, Forde said that she had been a promoter of a grunge rock band and had worked as a youth counselor, aircraft factory worker, and as a cosmetologist. Forde had run-ins with law enforcement before her eventual arrest for double murder. She served time in juvenile lockups for repeated convictions involving theft, burglary, and sex work. Forde had been married 4 times. In 1989, a male friend sought court protection from Forde, claiming that she had attacked him and threatened to hurt herself with a knife. In 2007, she was charged with theft. In January 2008, Forde accused members of a drug cartel of sexually assaulting and shooting her. Later, she suggested the culprits were criminal associates of her son. Forde's brother alleged that she fabricated the story, and authorities closed the case due to insufficient evidence. In 2007, Forde became involved in vigilante activities, having joined the Minutemen Civil Defense Corps, MCDC, which eventually kicked her out. In February of 2007, she helped found and direct MAD, a splinter group from the MCDC, which questionably claimed, quote, several thousand private members. See cult Scientology. Although a former member claimed only 14 remained following Forde's arrest for the Flores murders. Forde was posting updates to the website of Jim Gilchrist's Minuteman Project organization, which listed her as a border operations manager. Forde intended to fund the purchase of a 40-acre property in southern Arizona to serve as a base of operations for MAD. Forde was the self-proclaimed leader of this private Minuteman border monitoring group. To fund her operation, she planned to steal from a house in Arivaca, owned by victim Raul Flores, a reputed drug dealer. In May of 2009, Forde met with Minuteman members in Colorado, discussed her plan, and sought their help. She also sought assistance from Arivaca drug dealers Albert Gaxiola and Owen Oakstar, who had been plotting to kill Flores as a perceived rival in the drug trade. A few days before the murders, Forde and Jason Bush, her, quote, number 2 guy in the Minuteman group, met with Gaxiola and Oakstar and discussed killing Flores and stealing drugs and money. On the morning of May 29th, as Oakstar, Forde, and Bush slowly drove by Flores' home, Flores' wife Gina and their 9-year-old daughter, Brisenia, were in the front yard. Gaxiola later asked Oakstar to go with him to, quote, take care of Flores, but Oakstar declined, saying he was too drunk. That night, Forde and Bush returned to the Flores' home with Gaxiola and at least one other person. Forde awakened the family by banging on the front door and shouting. When Flores opened the door, Forde demanded entry or else. She said, quote, we're going to shoot you. Flores stepped aside, and Forde and Bush, dressed in camouflage, and Bush with a blackened face, rushed in. While Bush, who was armed, stood by, Forde ordered Flores to sit near Gina, who was seated on a couch where Brisenia lay sleeping. Flores asked what was occurring, and Bush replied, quote, don't take this personally, but this bullet has your name on it. Flores jumped up and wrestled with Bush, and Bush shot him. Bush then shot Gina twice, and she fell to the floor and pretended to be dead. Flores shouted for Bush to stop, prompting Bush to shoot Flores several more times, killing him. During these shootings, Forde did not react or ask Bush to stop. Forde then announced that everything was clear and 2 other intruders entered the house. Forde left the room and began rummaging through drawers in the master bedroom. Meanwhile, Bush questioned Brisenia and then shot her twice, killing her. Forde returned to the living room saying they needed to hurry because someone was coming. The intruders then broke the lights in the house and ran out. Gina called 911. While she was on the telephone, Forde, who had shed her camouflage jacket and pulled her hair into a ponytail, came back into the house to retrieve a dropped gun. Forde spotted Gina and ran outside, shouting for someone to, quote, finish her off. Bush re-entered the house and began firing at Gina, who returned fire, injuring Bush and prompting him to flee. Gaxiola then entered the house but quickly departed after realizing Gina had recognized him. Shortly thereafter, the intruders left. Forde, Bush, and Gaxiola went to Gaxiola's home. Gaxiola returned to observe the murder scene and texted Forde saying, "Cops on scene, lay low." Forde responded, "No worries, all good, just relax, competition gone." She then took care of Bush's wound. A few hours later, she texted her daughter saying, quote, "Whatever goes down, I'm in deep now. I love you, make me proud, and do something good with your life." After learning of the murders, R.W. and R.C., who had attended the Colorado Minuteman meeting, called the FBI and told them about Forde's plans. Police stopped Forde as she was driving on June 12th and arrested her. A belt buckle marked G and jewelry taken from Gina's bedroom during the home invasion were found in Forde's purse, which was in her car. The state indicted Forde on 2 counts of first-degree murder, as well as first-degree burglary, attempted first-degree murder, aggravated assault causing serious physical injury, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, armed robbery, and aggravated robbery. A jury found her guilty on all counts. During the aggravation phase, the jury found 3 aggravating circumstances for Flores' murder and 4 aggravating circumstances for Brisenia's. After receiving evidence in the penalty phase, the jury determined that Forde should be sentenced to death for each murder. The trial court then imposed death sentences for the murders and prison sentences, totaling 75 years for the non-capital counts. Thank you for tuning in to Women on Death Row. If you liked this, you can find all this and more on the True Crime and Wine Time YouTube channel, as well as on the Courtyard Discord server. Don't know how to access Courtyard? Click the Discord invite link in the show notes and get ready for a great time with wonderful people. Until next time, take care of yourself, your friends, family, and community. Don't let anybody dull that sparkle. And shine on. Shine on, you crazy diamonds. We'll see you next time.